We welcome you to the Bradley Center in Milwaukee for Game 3 of this best of 7 between the Detroit Pistons and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks upsetting the Pistons Wednesday night in Detroit to tie the series at 1. A look at tonight's McDonald's starting lineups. Larry Brown telling us earlier he needs more from Chauncey Billups, only 6 of 18 from the field. The other night, Richard Hamilton, 18 points and fouled out with 5 minutes to play. Also hit with 2 technical fouls. And a look at the Bucks, who turned things around the other night. Damon Jones and Michael Redd in the backcourt. A terrific game for Redd, a playoff career high. 26 points. Mason, Skinner, and Smith up front. Joe Smith, 11 points with a playoff career high. 13 rebounds. Marv Albert with the czar, Mike Fratello, and Charles Davis as we get set for the opening tip. Jack Neese with the basketball. He's working with Derek Stafford and Joe DeRosa. It'll be Ben Wallace and Joe Smith, Milwaukee, controlling as Damon Jones throws it across, and he's met by Chauncey Billups.
I would think, Marv, that Larry Brown is looking immediately to see the aggressive level of play from his team at the defensive end, number one, and offensively smart.
Ryan Skinner able to get the roll. And Larry also very upset with the high number of three-point attempts. The Pistons on Wednesday, 6 of 25 from downtown. In effect, they were settling for jump shots from long range. Here is Rasheed Wallace. One-handed and a foul as Brian Skinner was pushed.
Mark, we talked about the three-point attempts for Detroit. Normally during the regular season, they only take about 11 and a half, 11 a game, 12 a game, but they came out in game number 2 and they shot, talk about free throws, three-pointers rather, 25 three-point attempts. So uncharacteristic, and it leads to so many things good for Milwaukee when you're shooting that many threes.
Foul on Ben Wallace. Redd being played by Hamilton. This is Mason. And the rebound is handled by Ben Wallace.
You see a little change right away in Larry Brown's defensive matchups. You've got Wallace now playing Skinner. And that is Rasheed Wallace on Skinner. And Ben Wallace on the other side taking Joe Smith. Different than game number 2.
And a nice move by Ben Wallace. Piston coaching staff saying they want Ben Wallace to get more touches. That doesn't necessarily mean more shots, but they feel the offense has to go through Ben.
Because Larry Brown feels that he has 2 post people in Rasheed and Ben Wallace, that when you do throw him the ball, they're not selfish. They'll pass it back out again.
Here's Mason with a fadeaway, and he's fouled. So Desmond Mason will go to the line, fouled by Tayshaun Prince. This is the second of our TNT doubleheader earlier in New Orleans. The Hornets getting back into that series as they defeated the Heat. 77-71. Miami now up 2 games to 1. Baron Davis, 21 points. Caron Butler leading the way for Miami, 24 points, 15 rebounds. Miami only 29 points in the first half.
There were times during the regular season that Miami certainly struggled to get their offense going. Almost ran in spurts during the season. A good 3 weeks, a bad 2 weeks of offense.
See some pressure by the Bucks. Hamilton gets it down low on a foul. It is on Mason of Milwaukee. The Detroit Pistons on the road at 23-18. That's the second best road record in the East, 4th best in the NBA, while Milwaukee at home has done well, 27-14.
We've seen them come down and make a direct pass into the post area twice now. Once to Rasheed, once to Ben Wallace. Obviously the message from the coach, let's go inside first, and then we'll play off the inside here.
Shot clock is down to 2. Good play by Smith, reaching in. Here is Redd for 3. I should say Damon Jones for 3. Damon Jones from downtown to give the Bucks a 7-2 lead.
Marv, it was interesting to hear Terry Porter tell us that sometimes we shoot the ball quickly, but that might be the best shot we can get against this Detroit defense, so I don't want him to be hesitant.
Blocked shot by Skinner. Prince right back. And here come the Bucks. It's a 4-on-2. Here's Red from downtown. Last touch by Milwaukee.
Tremendous defensive play by Joe Smith for Milwaukee. I thought last game was one of the best games I had seen Joe Smith play since he's been in the NBA. An all-around game. Defensively, he was sensational. Offensively, really chipped in and helped this team at the offensive end of the floor.
Yes, he was able to get his hands on a lot of balls. 13 rebounds, 11 points for Smith. Couple of block shots. Shot clock down to 4. Phillips. Rebounded by Skinner. Did a nice job here at the start. Mason to the crossover. Broken up by Rasheed Wallace.
Of the number of jump shots that Chauncey Billups winds up taking and where he takes them from, very key to Detroit's ability on offense to operate. Chauncey Billups has a tendency to pull up, shoot the long-range jump shot as opposed to taking it all the way to the basket, and he's got to make good decisions at it to keep his team.
The lob from Mason, who draws the foul. Beautifully executed by the Bucks, and that'll put Mason on the line. That's a second foul charged to Ben Wallace.
This is something that Milwaukee has used during the entire season. They love to go to the lob pass, and as we let this thing run forward, you'll watch Mason take off. It's a little back screen right there, and the timing, the pass perfect. The only thing he didn't do was finish the dunk.
Now Mehmet Okur, who has not been seeing much daylight, only 3 minutes in game 2, checking in for Ben Wallace. Mehmet Okur in his second season of the NBA, grew up in Turkey. Guy who shoots the 3, but he has not been a major part of the rotation since the trade for Rasheed Wallace.
No, the staff will keep telling in Detroit that it's not that we don't trust him or believe he can play, because he is a major free agent for them at the end of the season. But in the playoffs, you know you've got to win each night out, and they just don't feel as comfortable right now with him as they do with the other guys. And the addition of Rasheed Wallace has come into his playing time.
Here is Okur. As I said, he can hit the perimeter shot. Detroit taking a lot of time with the shot clock. They're having difficulty finding shots. 4 minutes gone by. Jones fires from way downtown. That's his second 3. Damon Jones, one-time member of the Detroit Pistons, has given the Bucks a 12-4 lead. Wallace for Okur had the mismatch and put home on the follow by Hamilton.
Michael Redd never put his body on Hamilton that time. Nice high-low situation for Detroit. Missed the layup, but then the offensive rebound. It's very, very important that you give Detroit only one shot. They're big enough as it is.
Smith being played by Okur. And a foul. It is on the Pistons. On Okur. Well, in game 2, Milwaukee out-rebounded Detroit, 48-37, able to turn it around from game 1, and you can see what they had done on the offensive glass. Here is Redd. Michael Redd with that quick release, doing it off the dribble. The other night we saw a lot of catch-and-shoot success for Redd.
They really limited the number of set plays that they called Milwaukee because of the pressure that Detroit puts on you. A beautiful penetration, drop-off pass by Billups that time. That's what we were just talking about a few moments ago. He needs to do more of that as far as Larry Brown is concerned to get easy shots for his big people.
And Larry Brown has to be happy with the execution. He said that was a problem the other day. He said we were out there playing like strangers. Off the spin, Mason. Kept alive by Skinner, continues to hustle his way. There's the lob. Desmond Mason from Damon Jones. And the Bucks lead at 16-8.
Well, I was starting to say on the out-of-bounds play a few moments ago that during the regular season, they run that every so often during the course of the game, either from the out-of-bounds or as a set play. They love to send Mason to the rim. He's terrific at catching and finishing.
Phillips rejected by Smith. It is bedlam here at the Bradley Center. What a start by the Bucks. Detroit calling for time.
We talked about the catch and finish ability of Mason. Well, the pass is perfect, timing is perfect, the finish is great, and at the defensive end, there's the presence, Joe Smith protecting the front of the rim.
The 2004 Western Conference Finals, only on TNT.
Back in Milwaukee, the 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the NBA playoffs and finals. By Hyundai, visit NBA.com and enter to win a new Hyundai Santa Fe. By Wendy's new Chicken Temptations. It's better here. And by Miller, vote Miller for president of beers. Good call. Saw a stirring start by the Milwaukee Bucks. They've come out against this vaunted Detroit defense, and they have hit 5 of 8 from the field, and obviously they have this crowd going wild.
Well, 4 of the 5 starters have scored already. The only one who has not is Joe Smith, who just had the tremendous block for him. They feed off the energy in this building. They come early today at unusual starting time, but look at that home record compared to the road record. Their points are up, field goal percentage from the three-point line is up, and assists up. So they just play better at home in front of this energized crowd.
All right, here's Red on the break. Red taking all the way. Bucks 18, Pistons 8, just under 6 minutes to play in the first quarter. Rasheed Wallace spinning his way on Joe Smith. Beautiful shot by Wallace.
Trying to emphasize the post-up game, try to take advantage of the size that they have Detroit going inside on a regular basis, and then off of that, they hope that their perimeter game will come. But Detroit's game starts at the defensive end by forcing turnovers like game number 1, 25 turnovers for 28 points.
Another strong move by Brian Skinner. Brian Skinner, a guy who was signed as a free agent from the 76ers, originally a #1 pick of the Clippers, spent 3 years with the Clippers, then a season with Cleveland, and has found himself here in Milwaukee as the starting center. Okor is fouled. He was hacked by Smith. It is called a, let's see, yes, it is a shooting foul. Bucks thought it was non-shooting, and now the officials are discussing it.
Jackie Neese looked out at Joe DeRosa, the other official on the floor. Jackie Neese made sure that he was calling it an active shooting foul. Joe DeRosa reconfirmed it. Neese said, fine, put him on the foul line.
Well, and that went right to the line. No question in his mind. Of course, 78% free throw shooter.
Well, the concern, I'm sure, with Detroit is, will someone out there come up with a huge offer for Okor? They can give him the mid-level exception, which is in that $5 million category. But if it goes up above that, because remember, they also have to sign Rasheed Wallace, how much is someone willing to give the young man?
Smith way off on that. Shot attempt. Here comes Hamilton. Hamilton the other night, 18 points, but fouled out with about 5 minutes remaining. Here's Red, met by Phillips. Jones opening at the point. Later on, we'll see Brevin Knight, who was outstanding in game 2 at the Palace. Here's Jones for 3. Again! That's his third from downtown.
Damon Jones is a different kind of point guard than Brevin Knight. Damon Jones has range, obviously, on his shot. He thinks more shot than he does pass. He is a problem when Detroit makes shots and gets into its press in the full court because he doesn't handle the pressure as well as Knight. Knight does different things.
Wallace not able to hit the 3. Prince ending up with the ball in his hands. A 36% shooter from beyond the three-point line. He's 9 points, hitting 3 of 3 from downtown. Here's Red on that quick release. Now Detroit on the break. Phillips taking all the way. Nice move. He had Hamilton to his left. was able to go the distance. So the Bucks now lead 23-15. 3.5 to play in this first quarter. Skinner facing up on Wallace. Rebounded by Rasheed Wallace. Here's the outlet. Phillips has Hamilton, and Phillips is fouled, hit on a reach-in by Jones.
Well, as you remember, a year ago, Detroit split the first 2 games in their playoff series, then went down to Orlando and lost the next 2 games. They were down 3-1. So I'm sure Larry Brown has mentioned to this team that how they come out this afternoon, the energy that they play with is going to obviously determine a lot as to what kind of situation they put themselves in. They do not want to wind up having to come back from behind in the playoff series.
Yes, last year beat the Magic in 7, knocked off the Sixers in 6, and then in the Eastern Conference Finals, swept by the Nets. You can get an all-access look at these NBA playoffs. Tune into the NBA TV playoff show, Destination Finals. That's every weeknight at 6 p.m. only on NBA TV. Well, 6 straight points by the Pistons in 45 seconds, and it's a 6-point game. Mason working on Prince. Nice pass. Smith off the lead from Red.
Whenever the defensive big man leaves the post guy to step up and help on a curl move, if you can, the offensive man should step into the basket, look for the return pass. Perfect execution by Milwaukee.
Holding foul on the Bucks is Brevin Knight and Keith Van Horn check in. Foul on Skinner. And a timeout is called.
Damon Jones, the downtown range shooter, 3 for 3, 9 points in 9 minutes. Welcome back with the Bucks leading 25-17. Let's go back and look at the offensive execution on how to read the defense. What you're going to have is Joe Smith turning around right now, and he wants to set a screen in the low post area. His teammate, Michael Redd, is going to run off this and look to curl, try and catch and shoot the basketball. Well, anytime the defense knows when you have a good shooter that's going to curl, you have to help out. As he curls, Okor steps up to help out as the shooter comes around. Well, when that happens, the man who sets the screen must immediately go to the basket because your man has left you to help out on the shooter. Leave, catch, and finish. A beautiful execution that time by the Bucks.
And the Bucks with 8 assists on their 9 field goals, which is an impressive number. Keith Van Horn and Brevin Knight checked in for the first time. Brevin Knight played very well game 2 at the Palace. Phillips lost it. Knight took it away. Here's Van Horn. And that has to feel good. Keith Van Horn struggling in this series, playing with that injured hand. 3 of 11 in game 1, only 1 of 8 the other night.
Keith Van Horn out here taking a lot of shots prior to the game, but it's the middle finger. He injured it in the New Jersey game. It's a bone bruise. He hit it on the rim, dunking the basketball, and he just cannot straighten out the middle finger. It's a problem shooting.
Rasheed Wallace off the good lead pass. Just under 2 minutes to play in this first quarter. Marv Albert, Lazar, Mike Fratello, Charles Davis. We're at Bradley Center in Milwaukee. It's game 3 of the best of 7. Series tied at 1. Here's Red with the step, tried the reverse. Rebounded by Okor. Smith was not able to convert.
Real good effort that time by Joe Smith to follow that shot up. He just couldn't convert. Easy layup on the inside. Larry Brown figuring Marv. We keep punching inside. Bad pass that time. Nice help defense by Van Horn. We keep punching inside. Perhaps we'll get Milwaukee in foul trouble. They don't have a lot of big people as it is, so he's trying to wear them down on the inside, trying to make his defense produce some transition scores.
And the Pistons very shortly will change the tempo. Foul is called on Hamilton. Larry Brown setting out Lindsey Hunter and Mike James. New backcourt here for Detroit.
Marv, you mentioned Brevin Knight's impact in game number 2. What a tremendous turnaround from game 1. Look at that, just 16 minutes in game 1 because he had 6 personal fouls, but he stayed on the floor in game 2. 27 minutes on the floor. There were times in the final 2 to 3 minutes he was exhausted because he was fighting double and triple teams. No one else on the team wanted to handle the ball as the score closed from the 15-point lead down to the 2-point advantage. Only one guy wanted it, that was Knight.
Forget about points and assists. Brevin Knight had 7 rebounds and a block shot.
He was told me he was bigger than I thought he was.
Right. Bucks 28, Pistons 19. Here's some pressure. Now the Bucks drop back. James with a good feed. Wallace missed the stuff, but he was fouled. He was hit by Van Horn.
I like the call. It was a good call because Van Horn came underneath Wallace. Wallace was trying to get to the rim. You'll see how it stops short all of a sudden as Van Horn rotates under him. Right there, you see the left arm hits it. If you could see from the outside angle, it's a different kind of contact. It was a good call by the official.
Rasheed Wallace, a 74% free throw shooter. After the acquisition from Atlanta with Rasheed Wallace, a member of the Pistons, Detroit went 20-6. They finished up with 54 wins, 54-28. In the regular season, they finished in the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. The Nets got number 2 by virtue of winning the Atlantic Division. For those who may have just tuned in, Ben Wallace sitting on the bench after picking up a second foul. The Bucks came out in a burst. They now lead by 8. We're final minute of the first quarter. Brevin Knight using the pick. Here's Desmond Mason. Rebounded by Okur.
Well, you talked about the 3-point shot attempts by Detroit. Well, they had 25 right now, ending up this first quarter. They have 2. Here's the steal and another transition opportunity for Milwaukee.
So the Bucks now lead at 30-20. A 4th Detroit turnover. Bucks have not turned it over. 3-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. Bucks continue to be aggressive defensively. Rasheed Wallace forcing, rebounded by Okur, and Okur takes it to the rim. 5 seconds left in this first quarter. Here's Knight. Sets it up for Smith from downtown. Excellent start for the Bucks before the home crowd. They go 11 for 21 in this opening quarter. They're led by Damon Jones, who hit 3 of 3 from downtown. It's the Bucks 30, the Pistons 22. A look at downtown Milwaukee on a crisp 46-degree day as we head to the second quarter at the Bradley Center. Let's go over to Charles Davis. Charles.
Thank you, Marv. You guys have been talking about the energy the Bucks have had today, due in no small part to their 2-headed point guard. Damon Jones off to a great start, 3 triples so far and 0 turnovers. And Brevin Knight has come off the bench and provided quick hands on defense and excellent direction on offense. They're fueled in no small part by a little bit of anger. After game 1, Damon Jones says, I didn't see any TNT cameras at our practice. I need you guys to show up. If they keep playing like that, we'll keep coming back. Guys?
See, Damon covers all areas. He's checking out what camera crews are there.
I'm not sure I remember this backcourt, Mark, very much in the last game of Knight and Jones on the floor at the same time. But you can see Terry Porter realizing Jones has the hot hand, wants to stay with him for a while. And this backcourt right here is not a large backcourt for Detroit.
Shot clock is down to 3 of traveling. Violation called on Okur.
This is what Detroit refers to as the pit bull backcourt of Mike James and Lindsey Hunter. They really get after you. They make it difficult to bring the ball down the floor. They force a lot of turnovers, which gets their transition game going.
Knight lost it. Here comes Hunter. Jones back. Darvin Ham just checked in. Called for the offensive foul. Darvin, very popular player here in Milwaukee as a member of the Bucks. is called for the charge.
We'll see if the defensive man gets his feet above the line. The right ankle, right heel might be on the line right there, not clearly out of it. That's what Detroit is upset about.
Turnover number 6 committed by Detroit. Van Horn. Hunter going for the ball. Van Horn for 3. Yes! Keith Van Horn from downtown. Bucks lead 33-22.
Keith Van Horn must have been out here taking 100 shots with assistant coach Jim Todd before the game from that spot and from the deep right-hand corner.
Here's Rasheed Wallace. Mason on the rebound. Pass intended for Van Horn. So the ball back to the Pistons, and for the Bucks, only their 2nd turnover.
It both just happened. Brevin Knight lost the handle on the ball, 1 turnover, and then the fast break advance pass, the 2nd turnover.
Mike James, Lindsey Hunter in the backcourt. The Meadow core with Rasheed Wallace and Darvin Ham up front. Minute and a half gone by in the 2nd. Here's James. Look out. Ham able to get back and rejects Jones. What a play by Darvin Ham. Beautiful timing. And then the Pistons give it right back.
And you saw Jones slow up, Mark, because he knew Ham was chasing him down. Jones was hoping that he had a teammate running, looking back right there over the shoulder. Now he's saying to himself, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, because Ham pins it against the glass.
Darvin Ham spent 3 years as a member of the Bucks. His game is hustle. We just saw that. Brevin Knight with the shot. James pulls it back. Foul on Van Horn, trying to stay in front of Core, and he's called for the push. Michael Redd will check back in, replaces Desmond Mason, and Corliss Williamson on the floor for the first time as he comes on for the Meadow core.
Williamson, an immediate go-to guy, and we see the Bucks zone up the side out of bounds, so Detroit just trying to get in and start from there against the Bucks half-court defense. Normally, Williamson in the post area. Mike James with the three-point shot hits it for Detroit.
Bucks 33, Pistons 25. Tony Kukoc on the floor for the first time. What a performance the other night in Detroit by Kukoc. 7 of 8 from the field. Did most of his damage. In the second quarter, hit all 5 of his shots. Hunter off the fake. So the Pistons are now within 6.
You mentioned Kukoc, and you immediately start to think about points with Tony. He had 15 points in game 2 instead of 8 in game 1. But the big area, rebounds. 9 big rebounds for Kukoc in game 2 after coming up with just 2 in game 1.
Here's Redd. Once again, that incredible release on a catch and shoot by Michael Redd.
It's almost like a slingshot. It's an unusual shot. We talked to Terry Porter, tried to compare it to somebody as far as the quickness getting out of his hand. There's the steal by Kukoc. He tried to compare him to Del Curry, but he said Del Curry's is picture perfect when you see his release. This guy is a little bit different in his release.
David Jones missing from downtown after hitting his previous 3. 35-27, Milwaukee. We are early in the second. And a reach is called on Van Horn. Gonna knock the ball away from Williamson. Timeout is called. Bucks up by 8.
Talked about that quick release of Michael Redd. It's in his hands only for a split second, and then it's gone, even with Rasheed challenging.
All right, here it is. Today's version of Bud Light's Idle Thoughts. the mind of the czar. We usually do this at night. Will that affect you that it's an afternoon game?
I'm well rested, ready to go, because I was thinking back what an outstanding season this has been for the Milwaukee Bucks. A lot of change. George Karl no longer the coach there. Ray Allen was traded for Peyton, and Peyton leaves at the end of the season. Sam Cassell's not here. Thomas traded to the Knicks. They wind up 41-41. So I'm sure all the great prognosticators out there knew exactly what was going to happen for the Bucks this season. Let's see the power poll ranking there by Sporting News. Well, let's go to Sports Illustrated. In the East, they've got them last at 15th. Wait a second. These are the people that are supposed to know. Look at these preseason predictions that the Bucks would wind up 15th, which is last in the Eastern Conference.
You sound like there's an agenda. There's more anger. I don't get the idea that you really care that the Bucks were that low. I feel anger on your part.
I'm just happy for the organization, the front office, the coaching staff, the players, because they proved their point that they were not the worst team in the Eastern Conference by far.
That's why they play the games. But there's something else going on, I can tell.
You know, it's tough for you to give credit 2 games in a row for a good point.
Was there a good point in the previous game?
Last game, you were amazed with what we had to say from the idle mind.
1 second on the shot clock. And Mike James will throw in.
Remember, this is a zone normally for Milwaukee.
And Hunter gets it off in time. Lindsey Hunter with 1 on the shot clock. So the Pistons, who have trailed by as many as 12, are now down by 6.
See a little run and jump action right there, trying to force the turnover by Knight. A wide open shot as a result of it in the corner for Michael Redd, who hits the 3.
Bucks now lead 38-29. That's a lot of room for Michael Redd. He's now 5 of 9. 11 points.
That's the gamble. If you run and jump or double team the ball and you have someone who can pass out of it, then there's going to be an open player if they swing it quickly. Brevin Knight is not affected most times by pressure defenses. He's too smart, he's too quick, too cagey with the basketball.
Brian Skinner on the foul. That's his second. Skinner coming on for Van Horn, who picked up a quick 3. And now Ben Wallace, who had 2 fouls early on, will check back in, as will Chauncey Billups.
Well, that last out of bounds play with 1 second remaining. Larry Brown in shoot-around time and time again went over the out of bounds versus the zone and kept emphasizing look away from where you take the ball out, look opposite. That's what they got that time.
Wallace Williamson way off, coming off the 0 for 5 in game 2. Williamson moving up on Kukoc, not allowing the shot. White gets it right back. Good ball movement, but the Bucks can't find a shot. Now they do. Here's Jones way off.
Talk about shot, and Jones answers right away. I could find one.
Ben Wallace up front with Corliss Williamson, Tayshaun Prince, Lindsey Hunter, Chauncey Billups in the backcourt. Here's Hunter. Rebounded by Skinner. That's his 5th. Knight taking all the way. It counts. Foul! What a move by Brevin Knight. Little head fake and a hesitation, and got the roll.
I mentioned to you before, he's cagey, he's smart, because he changes pace on you. He doesn't let the pressure defense get to him, and when he finds a big man rotate up to him the way Williamson did that time, then it's easy to go by him with the crossover, and he has the beautiful left-handed finish. He's pumping his fist from the floor.
Brevin Knight in his 7th NBA season out of Stanford. He's made the rounds, 3.5 years with Cleveland, spent some time with you at the Cavaliers. He said despite that, he's able to move on. Played for Atlanta, Memphis, Phoenix, Washington, and now Milwaukee. Off the steal. Loose ball foul on the Pistons. It is on Billups. I must say, every time Brevin Knight sees you when we have done a Milwaukee game, he's beaming. He is actually one of the few people I know who is happy to see you.
Well, I'm very, very proud of Brevin Knight. As Kukoc launches the 3, Brevin Knight was a first-round draft pick of ours in Cleveland. We put him in charge of the team that year with 4 rookies on the floor with him. They wound up winning 47 games, so I've got a lot of love for Brevin. He's a North Jersey guy. His father was a terrific player at Seton Hall University, went on to coaching, Mel Knight. So it's basketball in his family.
Terry Porter will send on Joe Smith for Brian Skinner. Brian Skinner hearing the applause from this crowd. 6 minutes to play in the first half. Marv Albert with Bizarre, Mike Fratello, Charles Davis. Here's Phillips. And last touched by the Bucks. But Jones not able to hold on. Timeout is taken. The Bucks 41 and the Pistons 29 as we look at Miller Park, the home of the Brewers, facing the Cardinals this afternoon. The 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT, brought to you by Cisco Systems. This is the power of the network now. And by Verizon Wireless. They never stop working for you. Well, to this point, Czar, this is not the Detroit Pistons team that we have become accustomed to watching over what has been an outstanding season.
Normally, we're used to Detroit's defense forcing a lot of turnovers. They pound people on the glass. They have a stifling, suffocating defense. But Milwaukee's come out and played with such confidence. They've kind of turned the thing around on Detroit. You see 9 turnovers for Detroit compared to only 2 for Milwaukee. How about the points off turnovers? 11 zip in favor of the Bucks. And those fast break points, key things for Larry Brown's team. Milwaukee loves to run the ball. If you run and pass, play unselfishly, you're going to have more assists than your opponents.
And the Bucks with 13 assists on their 15 field goals. Remember, they averaged 98 points a game during the regular season. That's the most in the East, and that is 4th overall in the NBA. So they can score. Richard Hamilton is back. Hamilton and Phillips in the backcourt. Williamson try to post up and succeeds. That's his first field goal. Bucks 41, Pistons 31. 5.5 remaining in the first half. Red and Jones at the guards with Kukoc, Smith, and Mason up front. Here's Red reversing. To go glass, rebounded by Prince.
One of the pluses of Prince, he can take it coast to coast, rebound, and push it down the floor.
Although that did not look pretty, lost the handle. Back comes Kukoc, takes all the way, rejected by Prince. Kukoc thought it was fouled.
Think about that play by Prince. He got the defensive rebound, led the fast break, turned it over, and went down and blocked the shot at the other end, and now shoots the 3 and makes it. What a series.
Tayshaun will have that on his personal highlight reel.
It's all about me.
Milwaukee's lead is now 7. Just under 5 to play in the first half. Series is tied at 1. They'll play game number 4 here in Milwaukee on Monday night. That was deflected out of bounds. Jack Neese taking a long look at it. And the ball will go to Milwaukee.
So after turning it over at the other end, Prince comes right back, blocks the shot to save the layup attempt by Tony Kukoc, and then comes right back at the other end, spots up behind the three-point line, hits a big 3 for the Pistons.
Rasheed Wallace is back, replacing Corliss Williamson. Mason, right inbound, picked off by Prince. Here's Phillips, pulls it back on Jones. Prince feeling it. Tayshaun Prince has had some sequence leading the 7-0 Detroit run. And Terry Porter is upset.
We had said no fast break points for the Pistons. Suddenly they answer with 2 fast break buckets. Now they've got 12-4 advantage in fast break points to Milwaukee.
Delay of game warning called on the Pistons. Milwaukee takes a timeout. 4:20 remaining in this first half. Bucks 41, Pistons 36. Milwaukee is led by as many as 12. The Pistons have come roaring back.
Well, you know, there's no quitting this team. You know, we've been here before. We have guys that can draw back from the series we were in with Milwaukee 3 or 4 years ago. and we were down 2, ended up winning 3 in a row. So we can do this again. We got another game here on Tuesday. We got to find a way to get it.
So Miami now up 2 games to 1, as David Wesley pointed out, game number 4. Tuesday in the Big Easy, Baron Davis, 21 points, and Caron Butler, 24 and 15. Miami only 29 points in the first half. They were down 41-29, and they lose 77-71.
And New Orleans is a very banged-up team right now. Baron Davis with a very bad ankle. Darryl Armstrong a bad ankle. Mashburn not with the team, so it's an injured New Orleans team.
Coming up on 4 minutes remaining in this first half. 7-0 run by Detroit. Shot clock down to 5. Kukoc played very aggressively by Wallace. Mason just did beat the shot clock. And you can see the tone has changed here for the Pistons.
You're exactly right, because they're up now, much harder, pressuring the shots. And you saw that rebound triangle by the blue jerseys. That was all theirs when that shot was missed.
Tayshaun Prince, instrumental in this comeback by Detroit, is able to score again. What a performance by Prince. He's now 4 of 6. He has 9 points. Bucks scoreless the last 3 minutes. The Pistons are within 3.
Marv, you can really feel the energy level drop off here in the building as Jones hits a very, very big shot for the Bucks. A much-needed basket by Damon Jones.
11 points for Jones. Tayshaun Prince has scored Detroit's last 7 points. Hamilton trying to come off the pick. Hamilton has been quiet. Shot clock down to 4. Phillips for 3. Kept alive by Rasheed Wallace. I don't know what that was about.
That was about not looking and throwing a pass out of bounds.
Check in with Charles Davis. Charles?
Marv, Brevin Knight took a shot in the abdomen a couple of minutes ago, and they took him to the locker room to check him out. The word from the Bucks bench is that he's expected to come back and play, but he has been in the dressing room for a long time now, although he's walking back to the court right now.
Joe Smith able to knock it down, and the Bucks now lead 45-38. And as we have discussed, Brevin Knight, a very important player off the bench for the Bucks.
Well, during the regular season, Billups and Hamilton are the 2 leading scorers for Detroit. They combined to average over 34 points per game. Right now, in this game, the Bucks starting backcourt, 22 points combined to just 6 for Billups and Hamilton. A huge advantage to the Bucks backcourt right now here in the first half.
A defensive 3-second violation called on the Bucks, so Hamilton will shoot the technical. Ben Wallace will sit down. Larry Brown trying to protect the foul situation. Wallace picked up the early 2. Richard Hamilton 1 for 3 from the field, and missed that technical free throw. He has not been in the offense thus far in this first half.
He was so frustrated in the last game we saw that eventually he was gone out of that game, and again he was not able to get off early. I guess we need to give a little bit of credit to Mason, who's been guarding him.
Well, there is Richard Hamilton taking it to the rim. Looked like he took a shot in the ribs. Hamilton with a hard driving move, and he's playing with the broken nose protected by the face mask. Kukoc for 3. Rebounded by Prince. Pistons in possession, down by 5. Williamson, he was looking for a foul call.
Kukoc held his ground, put his arms up, and just enough size difference naturally to force a bad shot by Williamson.
Oh, beautiful look by Tony Kukoc, spinning and finding the cutting Joe Smith.
From the time he's come into the NBA, Tony Kukoc understands the game, understands how to play basketball the right way. If you move, if you're open, he'll find you with a pass.
7-point Milwaukee lead. And here's Prince for 3. Rebounded by Michael Redd. Now Damon Jones finding Tony Kukoc. Larry Brown wants to talk it over with a minute to play in this first half. The Bucks in the midst of another spurt and lead by 9.
You like the aggressive attitude because Jones could have pulled it out with a 7-point lead, tried to use up some clock. Instead, he kept his head up. His teammates ran hard. He looked one way and saw his teammate Kukoc underneath the basket. A beautiful pass across the floor. They'll take that easy, too.
22nd timeout called by the Pistons.
Damon Jones knows exactly where Kukoc is. He looks like he's going to throw to the low right block. Instead, he fires it across to the left block to Kukoc.
Been a terrific first half for Damon Jones. 11 points, 7 assists, and does not have a turnover.
The pressure really has not affected Milwaukee as much as we saw it affect them in game number 1. But game number 1, you can credit the fact that it was the first playoff game. A lot of young new guys here on this Bucks team that they've kind of started to rebuild, and Detroit took advantage of it in their building. But then they settled in game number 2, and here they are in game number 3.
Well, it was a 26-point blowout in that opening game last Sunday. Bucks were just overwhelmed by the pressure defense of the Pistons, able to turn it in game 2, although Detroit did come back from that 15-point deficit the other night, final 3 minutes, but the Bucks able to hang on for the victory. Phillips running to, foul called on Jones.
Marv, the only thing about that first game, the 26-point blowout, at halftime, Milwaukee was still right there, 9-point disadvantage. Then remember, Knight fouled out, played only 16 minutes. The pressure became greater. The turnovers became more frequent in the second half. And it was that huge third quarter, a 28-15 advantage for Detroit that opened the game up.
Milwaukee over the foul limit, so Phillips at the line. A reminder tonight on ESPN, it's the Kings and the Mavericks, followed by the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Coverage beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And Sunday, tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, it'll be the Pacers and the Celtics for that series. And Sunday on ABC, Lakers and the Rockets. Coverage beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Rockets able to get back into that series with the win at home last night.
Substitution by Terry Porter. Damon Jones, who has 2 personal fouls on 11 points, takes him out, puts Brevin Knight in, who only has 1 personal foul. He would like to see Jones not pick up the 3rd here.
Last touch by Hunter. 35 seconds remaining in this first half.
See if they call a holding foul. There's the right arm wrapped around, and as you see Red posting up, that right arm prevented Red from going for the lob pass. That's why Jackie Neese made the call.
7-point Milwaukee lead. And away from the ball, it's an offensive foul. Foul on Red.
Lindsey Hunter will fight you. He wasn't going to let Michael Red get down as low as Red wanted to get to, but this time you'll see them fighting for that position. Red tries to post up a little too high at the elbow of the foul line. When he puts that right arm in, Hunter goes down. Offensive foul called.
Now Hamilton will check back in. High point men for the Bucks, 11 apiece for Damon Jones and Michael Red. Detroit led by Tayshaun Prince with 9 points. Both clubs have shot well. Bucks at 48%, Pistons at 47%. The difference thus far, turnovers. 11 for Detroit, only 4 for Milwaukee. Here is Prince, and that will not count. Offensive foul.
Larry Brown just ran a play they used to run in Philadelphia for Allen Iverson over and over again, starting the player that he wanted with the ball away, running him off for 2 staggered screens, and then clearing out the side of the floor. They ran the play, the offensive foul called, turnover, and now last shot opportunity for the Bucks.
And the foul on Hamilton, that is his 3rd, and he heads back to the bench. Darvin Ham is checked in as Milwaukee holds for a final shot of this first half. Red for the crossover, and he is tied up. Red is tied up. Jump ball with 5 seconds remaining first half.
Tony Kukoc was wide open in the corner that time. If Michael Red could have cleared the ball, and I'm not saying he didn't see him, whether he did see him, but Kukoc was just standing there. Red just couldn't get it out of his hands.
Once again, the long arms of Lindsey Hunter making that play on Michael Redd, and they'll go on this jump ball. Jack Neese been very particular.
If you're Detroit, you want to drop the ball right between these two guys. That's the cup for you. If you're Milwaukee, you're trying to find two white jerseys to drop the ball.
All right, Mason has it, pulls it back, try to get the shot off, deflected, out of bounds by the Pistons. We're down to 1 1/10 seconds remaining in the half. And now Terry Porter will take his 20-second timeout to try and devise a last-second play.
Might see some type of back pick here where a small man back picks a big man looking for the lob pass, or you might see a screen down where a big man steps out looking for the quick jump shot. Screen set by the small man. The problem there is if they switch out, as far as the defense is concerned, you may not allow the pass. As far as the offense is concerned, the big man might shoot it over the top.
Coming up on the Verizon Wireless halftime report, Ernie Johnson in the studio along with John Thompson and Charles Barkley. Kenny with the day off, or I saw a little cameo earlier. They'll take a look back at the first half here and highlights from the Heat and the Hornets. 1.1 remaining in the half. Bucks by 7. Knight will throw in. Phillips on the inbound. Knight gets it, and here's Kukoc, gets it away for 3. Good half for the Bucks here at home. It's Milwaukee 49 and Detroit 42. Bucks have led all the way, and they have been sparked by Damon Jones. 11 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, and did not turn it over. Let's go to Charles with Damon.
Marv, thanks. Damon, in the last game, Michael Redd needed to come out aggressively on the offensive end. Today, it appeared that you were doing that for the Bucks. Was that the plan?
Well, no, not really. We play a team game, and when the ball's moving, there's a lot of open shots out there on the floor, and fortunate enough for me, early on, I was able to make some shots.
In game 2, you guys appear that you had it well in hand going down the stretch. Detroit really made a big run at you down late in the ball game. What do you do this game to prevent that from happening?
Well, we can't become complacent about this lead we have right now in the first half. Detroit is a good basketball team, and we just have to stay focused and continue to move the ball on the offensive end and keep playing good team defense.
All right, Damon, thanks a lot. Good luck in the second half. Marv, back to you.
All right, thanks, Charles. What is most impressive in this first half by the Bucks, 16 assists on their 19 field goals. Only 4 turnovers in the half, while Detroit with 12, leading to 13 Milwaukee points. Let's check in with Ernie in the studio.
This is where we do the Verizon Wireless halftime report. Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley, and sitting in for Kenny the Jet Smith today is the one and only John Thompson. We're going to get to John in a second. You look distressed.
2 things. What's this first?
What's the first?
Tim Kiley.
Yeah, our producer.
Got to be the stupidest guy in the history of civilization.
And why would that be?
He's upset about the quarterback the Steelers drafted, Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, he's good.
No, he can't be any good. Guess what his theory is?
Who's? Kiley's or Roethlisberger's?
Kiley's theory. If they have a name you can't pronounce real easy, the player can't be any good. How stupid is he?
Got to poke some holes into that. What's the second thing that you're all mad about? Oh, no.
I knew you refer to our kind, sweethearted, gentle, great man, and our boss as a fat, obnoxious boss. I knew you'd do that. I knew you'd do that.
Wow. Was there a second thing that...
Rasheed Wallace can't have 5 points in Detroit win. I said before the game, you know, Kenny always says he don't think Rasheed wants to be a star. First of all, if you got that type of talent, you got to be a star. But 5 points, Ernie, I've stretched it a little bit. You can get 5 points.
You're stretching a lot. 5.6 rebounds, 2 out of 6.
Yeah, but you know what? 5 points for a guy that talented is not going to get it done. Sooner or later, before Detroit, first of all, they're going to have their hands full with Indiana. But if they're going to do anything, First of all, New Jersey might beat him. But if they're going to do it, he's got to start playing like a star. He can't get 5 points.
We'll take that into account. It's 49-42. Meantime, being an innocent bystander here and taking all this in is John Thompson, who has the story of the first half being that Milwaukee's taken a page out of Detroit's book, huh?
Well, I think Mike Fratello said it in Marvel when they were showing the little graphic up there. If you were to look at that graphic and remove the names, you would swear that Detroit had the Milwaukee side, Milwaukee had the Detroit side, because what Milwaukee has done, if you look at it, is out Detroited Detroit. You look, they're stealing balls, they're going down the court, getting fast break baskets, they're creating turnovers, they're making traps, you know, they're hitting shots from the outside, they're following up and getting putbacks. These were all the things that the Pistons did in the first game to come back on them and to beat them in the first game. So they really are doing exactly to Detroit what Detroit has done to them.
Pistons with 2 steals in the first half, Milwaukee with 6, and Milwaukee has the lead 49-42. When we come back, Miami trying to really put the heat on the Hornets in Game 3 in New Orleans. How would the Hornets respond being down 2-0?
The Halftime Report is brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the NBA.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Hey, back with more on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. Did you watch the Miami-New Orleans game earlier this afternoon? We appreciate that. Baron Davis and the Hornets trying to do something about a 2-0 deficit. He's been so banged up in here. It's a little slip underneath the basket. He was okay. He's been bothered by the knee and the ankle, and his arm went numb today for a little while. He's all over the place, making things happen for the Hornets.
He shouldn't make that face either.
Now,
ugly people should never make faces.
This time, Lamar Odom on the receiving end, and he took 6 stitches and then returned to the game after missing 5 minutes.
There was a lot of stitches in this game, too. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's good playoff basketball. And here, the last chance for Stan Van Gundy's Heat.
Leave his hair alone. He's going to turn out like his brother.
That's just too easy for you, wasn't it? That was a layup. 77-71. New Orleans now down 2-1 against the Miami Heat.
So can't wait for the next game.
And that'll be on TNT on Tuesday.
It's going to be huge for us.
And here in Detroit and Milwaukee, at the Bradley Center, Damon Jones, the protege.
I was watching Miami and New Orleans and the Lakers and the Rockets.
The 2004 NBA playoffs. Coverage continues on.
The Halftime Report has been brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the NBA.
And moments ago, back here at the Bradley Center, the Pistons and the Bucks made their way back onto the court. Marv Albert, Czar, Mike Fratello, and Charles Davis. Milwaukee Bucks jumped in front by as many as 12. They're up by 7 here at halftime. And you look at the stat sheet, what is going on with the Detroit backcourt, Chauncey Billups and Richard Hamilton?
Well, the numbers just jump out at you because, as we mentioned earlier, during the regular season, Detroit's backcourt averages over 34 points per game. Right now, 22-10 as far as points go in favor of Milwaukee's backcourt. You look at field goal attempts for Detroit's guards. They only have 9 field goal attempts combined to 17 for Milwaukee. And then turnovers, 4 turnovers compared to just 1. So, obviously, the dominance of the Milwaukee backcourt, a huge factor here.
A look at tonight's Jeep game summary. Both teams shooting well. Detroit at 47%, Milwaukee at 46. Pistons with the advantage off the boards, but you see the differential in terms of turnovers. 12 for the Pistons, only 4 for the Bucks. Let's go to Charles Davis.
All right, Marv, I talked with Coach Larry Brown at the half, and he was very succinct in his statements. He said, hey, we turned the ball over way too many times, 13, and we didn't turn the Bucks over at all. That's the difference in the ball game. He says we must take care of the ball in the second half and calm down a bit on the offensive end. Guys?
All right, Charles. Yes, 12 turnovers. You recall back in game 1 when the Pistons won by 25, it was a different story. Milwaukee with 25 turnovers. Pistons with a franchise playoff record as they came up with 14 steals in that game. We have not seen that kind of defense since game 1.
No, and Detroit averages about 15 turnovers a game for the regular season. They have, as you mentioned, 12 already. So that's a very high number. That's lost possessions. Milwaukee has 5 more field goal attempts, 41-36, and that's a result of the differential in turnovers that Detroit has.
Pistons start out with Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince on the front line. Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton in the backcourt. The Pistons won 54 games during the regular season. They won 20 of their last 24. Since the Rasheed Wallace trade, 20 up, 6 down. Deflected away by Mason. So Pistons in possession with 8 on the shot clock.
Milwaukee was ready to double team immediately when Wallace touched it that time.
Phillips shooting over Jones and hits from downtown. For the Pistons, their 3rd successful 3. They're now 3 of 9 from beyond that 3-point line. Bucks 49, Pistons 45. Ryan Skinner going at Ben Wallace. Wallace comes up with a block shot.
One of the best that there is at blocking his own man's shot, which doesn't happen very often. Normally shot blockers get other people's shots. That time straight up, Wallace went and got it.
Ben Wallace, his first rejection, and here is Billups. Well, we were just a moment ago talking about that Detroit backcourt. Where have they been? Chauncey Billups with a 3 and a 2, and the Pistons are with him 2. Remember, Chauncey Billups is back from a sprained left ankle, sat out Detroit's last 4 games, and then returned for game 1 of this series last Sunday. Here comes Billups. Billups played by Jones. Here's Prince. Hamilton. Guarded by Red. Hamilton. Yes.
Maybe Larry Brown said, you know what, forget about trying to get our big guys involved. Let's wake our guards up here to start the second half. And we see a couple baskets by Billups, then Hamilton starting to get the backcourt involved once again.
7 straight points by the Pistons to open up this 3rd quarter. Jones trying to draw a foul. Back comes Billups, leaving Jones behind him. And Wallace. The Pistons with their first lead of the game.
You see a bad shot, it results in a fast break opportunity. And you go back for a second, you see the energy coming back to Detroit. Billups leads the break, finds the big man Wallace running the floor, but it all started out by Chauncey Billups getting to his favorite spot on the floor, top of the circle, straight on, knock it down to 3, and then come right back and use his size to shoot up over the top of the smaller defensive guard.
Back in Milwaukee, the 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT is being brought to you by Jeep, the most respected, honored, and heroic 4x4s out there, only in Jeep. And by TGI Fridays. Sorry, you were posing some programming questions to the staff earlier. Here is what is coming to TNT.
West. Jim West.
The Wild West just got a lot wilder.
Now what? Nice hat. Gotta get you killed.
Wild Wild West, the new classic, tonight at 9 Eastern on TNT.
Pistons have come out with 9 unanswered. to get this third quarter underway. Here's some pressure by Detroit. And now they relax it as Red is able to move it across. Red and Jones at the guard. Skinner with Smith and Mason up front. Pistons with the lead for the first time tonight. Here's Red. Good job by Smith to keep it alive, and a beautiful save by Rasheed Wallace.
The extra effort, one more jump, and the save by Wallace, which leads to the attempted fast break basket. That's rejected.
A sensational block by Joe Smith. Another block shot, this time by Rasheed Wallace, and a foul on Skinner.
It looked like Detroit had pushed the ball in transition, had found the big man underneath the basket wide open, and just as it looks like they're going to get the two, Joe Smith hustles back and stops it with the rejection.
Chauncey Billups landing on his back. And Piston trainer Mike Abdenauer up, ready to take the court, but Billups said, no, I'm all right. Pistons 51 and the Bucks 49. Rasheed Wallace for three, yes. 8 points for Wallace. 12-0 run to start the third quarter by the Pistons.
See a different swagger right now with Detroit. They know that they've got it going offensively and defensively. Very tough now for Milwaukee to get good, clean looks at the basket. If their defense doesn't stop Detroit's offense, they're not going to get those fast break opportunities.
Foul on Rasheed Wallace. That is his first. Terry Porter, head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, who has done a superb job with this team, taking over from George Karl after only 1 year of experience. An assistant coach at Sacramento. Last season, he was hired to relate to the younger players, this following an outstanding career. Born and raised in Milwaukee, and a solid 17-year NBA playing career for the most part with the Trailblazers.
Yeah, but he did a real smart thing. He surrounded himself with basketball guys who have been in coaching a lot of years. Mike Shula, Bobby Otsika, Jim Todd, and then Sam Mitchell.
It counts in the foul. Richard Hamilton fouled by Michael Red.
I'm saying, if you go back to this replay of Hamilton taking the ball to the basket, he winds up getting Red in the air with a little pump fake. Red a little too anxious at time to get the rejection. Now Hamilton trying to get himself going. Remember, those 3 personal fouls hurt Hamilton in the first half. But I was going back to the coaching staff. They also added Sam Mitchell, who, as a player, you knew someday Sam Mitchell was going to be in coaching. Sam Mitchell still able to get on the floor, work with players, good basketball mind. Very, very good staff that Terry Porter has put together.
Mike Schuler, one-time head coach of the Trailblazers. Terry Porter playing for Mike in Portland. 57-51 Detroit. Damon Jones for 3, coming up short. And then deflected out of bounds. Last touch by the Pistons.
Hey, that should be a new 24, shouldn't it?
Larry Brown in a friendly discussion with Jack Neese. Is Jones using the pick? Red rejected. Rasheed Wallace with his second block.
So where do you get a clean look? If it's not Ben Wallace, it's Rasheed Wallace.
Hamilton overshoots. Nice touch by Smith. 8 points for Joe Smith, one-time member of the Detroit Pistons. Milwaukee had missed 7 straight shots prior to that field goal. 57-53 Pistons. And Wallace will not count. Foul before the shot attempt. Man involved with Ryan Skinner. For Skinner, that is number 4. Ryan Skinner is a 6'9" power forward playing center who looks to take advantage with his quickness. He will sit down right here as Keith Van Horn will come on.
So what do you call Ben Wallace then, who's 6'7", 6'7" power forward, playing center, that block shots and rebounds.
And both guys can do it in the Eastern Conference. All right, Pistons take a timeout. Good start here in the third by Detroit. They're up by 4. Well, our Gatorade X Factor, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, they have really turned it up a notch in the third quarter.
Well, you've got Ben Wallace, who averages over 3 blocks per game, and Rasheed, since he's come to Detroit, averaging over 2 a game. That's 5 between the two of them right there. So when you get them rotate and scramble around the floor, you always got the other one behind you when this starting unit is on the floor.
The Pistons have outscored the Bucks 15-4 in this third quarter. They reeled off the first 12 points. They have hit 6 of 8 from the field. They lead by 4. Shot clock down to 5. Ben Wallace. And here is Billups. And Chauncey Billups has turned it around in the second half.
That's what Larry Brown said. Guys, throw the ball in the low post. Both of our big men are unselfish, and you can play off of them. They will pass it back out to you again.
60-53, Detroit. Foul is called. It is on Rasheed Wallace. That is his second. Chauncey Billups with 8 of his 14 points coming in this third quarter. As we were discussing during our halftime break, what has happened to this Detroit backcourt? Well, both Billups and Hamilton have changed things dramatically in the third, and the block shot brigade continues for the Pistons.
How many times you see your big center out by the three-point line blocking a shot?
Ben Wallace. Larry Brown saying prior to the game that Ben Wallace has to get more touches, not necessarily to score, but just to touch the ball. He's also scoring. And you see that 22-4 run by Detroit. They lead by 9. Here's Billups to the crossover, going glass, yes, and the foul. Chauncey Billups will head to the line.
Coming at you full speed, Damon Jones still moving his feet as he has contact with the upper part of his body. The concentration and finish by Chauncey Billups. You can see right there that Jones is still sliding over as the contact takes place.
For Damon Jones, a third personal foul. Brevin Knight checks back in. 65-53. The Pistons down by as many as 12, now lead by 12.
Well, if you remember when we came back to start the half, we said the advantage was 22-10. Layup this time by Joe Smith inside. 22-10 for the Milwaukee backcourt. Now, after just half the quarter's gone by, a 26-22 advantage for Detroit's backcourt.
How about the Pistons? They have scored 23 points this quarter in less than 6 minutes. Rasheed Wallace, played by Desmond Mason. And Horn with the rebound, tipped away by Billups. And a foul on Knight. And Horn felt he was fouled. Rather, Knight called for his second. And the Bucks are over the limit with 5:25 to play in the third. This is game 3 of the best of 7. Game 4 here at the Brantley Center in Milwaukee on Monday night. The 2004 NBA playoffs here on TNT will continue tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern Time. It's the Nets and the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, followed by the Spurs and the Grizzlies from Memphis.
Remember, this Detroit team good enough to go 23-18 during the regular season on the road, so they understand that the boys you have to have, you must bring that high energy away from home, and then the willingness to hang in there against opponents who feel very comfortable playing in their own building.
Keith Van Horn continues to have his problems. I don't know if it's the bad hand, but he's just not the same player. 1 of 8 the other night at the Palace of Auburn Hills. He got off hitting a couple of shots early. One was a dunk, and then he hit a 3, but he has struggled handling the ball.
He can't decide right now how he's going to get himself open shots. Running in the fast break, trying to take it off the dribble and create.
And Horn is fouled by Rasheed Wallace.
Brevin Knight hangs with him the whole time as Knight starts to back it out. You see the back cut by Van Horn, winds up under the rim, and there's the reach-in foul as he goes up.
Keith Van Horn was acquired from the New York Knicks in mid-February in that 3-team trade, the deal involving Tim Thomas of the Bucks going to New York. Keith had been playing well for the Knicks. Last season he was with Philadelphia. In fact, played for Larry Brown with the Sixers. Spraying that middle finger on his shooting hand in a game in early March, and it has set him down.
Well, when you look at their team, think about Van Horn, who was playing the way he was back in New York when you saw him quite a few times earlier, and Kukoc coming off the bench. And have both those guys coming off the bench. What an ability to go inside, go outside, hit the three-point shot. There's size there. So it'd be a huge plus if Van Horn can get himself on track, because Kukoc certainly did his job last game.
Yes, Kukoc, 7 of 8, 15 points. Played only 7 minutes thus far tonight. Off the steal, here comes Knight. Van Horn for 3. Rebounded by Rasheed Wallace, pegs it down. Phillips lost it, recovered by Prince. Tayshaun Prince with the bucket and a foul. Took a hit on the side of the head.
What a tremendous play by Chauncey Billups. He looked up too quick, couldn't get the handle on the ball, yet he stayed with it, knew he had Prince run the way, so he basically tapped it back into the ground. This is a long outlet pass. Watch, loses the handle, taps it back, and Prince able to catch it, finish, and get fouled. Just a terrific basketball play by Billups. Loses control, but taps it down for Prince.
Tayshaun Prince, a big factor for the Pistons in the second quarter. Remember, he came out of the playoffs last season after appearing in only 42 games during the regular season. Was used sparingly, but played well in the postseason.
Well, it's one of the reasons people say why Detroit passed up on Carmelo Anthony in the draft. They could have taken Anthony. Instead, they took Darko Milicic, and as a result, you've got Carmelo in the draft.
What a move by Desmond Mason. Pistons 69 and the Bucks 59, under 4 to go in this third quarter. Well, I think the Darko Milicic episode will play out. Pistons, foul is called. It's an offensive foul. The Pistons say he is a project. He has not played much this season. But you talk to the coaches, and they say down the road this guy's going to be a very good player.
You certainly can't teach size, and they say that in practice you see him do things that just amaze you sometimes, but you've got to give him time. There's Darko there, sitting on the floor. He is a talented, skilled player. He likes to play from behind the three-point line. Larry Brown would like him to play down in the low post area. So as soon as they get on the same track court-wise, I'm sure he'll do exactly what the coach wants.
Mason. Going glass. He thought he was fouled. Couple of beautiful moves by Desmond Mason. It's an 8-point game, and the Pistons want to talk. Timeout with 3:15 remaining in the third quarter. Pistons have been on fire. They've hit 10 of 14 from the field. They lead 69-61.
You're more likely to take quicker timeouts in the playoffs. You see Mason go down low and bank this one off the glass. Larry Brown doesn't want the Bucks on a roll.
All right, let's check out tonight's Armor All spectacular finish.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, one second left. What a play by Bird. Oh my, this place is going crazy.
Johnny Most with the call, one of the most memorable moments in the history of the NBA. Celtics took that game. They moved in front of the series 3-2. They won the Eastern Conference Finals in 7, then lost in the NBA Finals to the Lakers. 3:15 remaining in the third quarter. Milwaukee having its way in the first half. They led by as many as 12. Pistons have come back strong in the third. They are up by 8. Shot clock down to 3. Here is Prince. And deflected out of bounds. Last touch by the Bucks.
Larry Brown comes out of the timeout and tries to get Williamson involved. Williamson just 1 for 3, 2 points. Larry Brown gets him down in the low post area where Carlos Williamson feels much more comfortable playing from at the offensive end.
Pistons have the new shot clock. Lindsey Hunter and Chauncey Billups now in the backcourt. Prince stripped, able to recover. Wallace rejected by Smith. Here's Wallace again. Rejected by Smith. Joe Smith with the 2 block shots. He has 5 for the game, and then he is fouled.
Normally it's an offensive play that energizes the crowd, but that time Joe Smith with back-to-back blocks, and perhaps because it was against Ben Wallace, the crowd up on his feet. You see the first rejection, and then again Wallace tries to come back, that time with the left hand by Joe Smith.
Joe Smith, the one-time Piston who has been playing terrific basketball. Now the call away from the ball. It is on Prince. That's his second. You see the stat line on Joe Smith. The other night in Detroit, playoff career high, 13 rebounds, had 2 block shots in game 2. Both teams are now over the limit. Mason looking for his 15th point.
Get in there.
7-point Detroit lead. Coming up on 2 minutes to play in the third. Williamson posting up and foul. No, they called it the other way. Offensive foul on Carlos Williamson.
You are not allowed to knock the defensive man's hand off your hip if you have your back to the basket. Watch Williamson. See that hand on his back? And he'll try and knock it away as he faces in. Right there. He slaps the arm away. If the offensive man in the low post area has his back turned, the defender can have one hand or one forearm on him.
Mason spinning. The tip was missed by Smith. And a foul on Detroit, plus a technical foul. Carlos Williamson had something to say and was teed up. Williamson upset about the call at the other end. And Derek Stafford calling the technical on Williamson. Michael Redd will shoot the tee. Now Joe Smith at the line for 2. This is a potential 3-point play.
Outstanding defensive quarter for Detroit up to this point. Milwaukee had 49 points at the half, so this is 15 points up to this point in the quarter with just under 2 minutes remaining for the Bucks. So the Pistons have gotten their teeth into them defensively.
Detroit's lead is down to 4. They are on their feet here at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the third. Prince backing his way on Red. Shot clock to 4. Phillips. And here come the Bucks. Mason with the lead. Red. It's a 2-point game.
How about Michael Red's ability to fake, hold it for a split second, let the defense go by, and then get the shot up quick on the glass.
10 unanswered by the Bucks. Lindsey, Hunter, yes. Pistons with a 71-67 advantage. Red taking it to the rim, and he took a bump. Foul charged to Prince.
When the defense goes over the top, the offense will fade to the corner. Let this run just a little bit for a second. Stop right there. You see this defensive man, he's heading over the top. The offensive man will head flat to the corner so that when the pass comes, the defense has too far to go to catch back up. That's a fade move. That's also a wide open jump shot.
Michael Red, one of the best free throw shooters in the NBA at 87%. Now it's 15 points. Chauncey Billups sit down. Mike James checking back in. Strong third quarter for Billups, who now has 17 for the game. Rare miss at the line by Red. 1 minute remaining in the third. 3-point Detroit lead. Wallace gives it right back. And it's a kick ball. So the Pistons get a break. They had only 2 on the shot clock. They reset it to 14 off the leg block.
Detroit can certainly come up with a 2-for-1 opportunity here if they want to. Take this first shot, a reasonable amount of time, and then come right back and get the last shot of the quarter.
Wallace putting the move on Keith Van Horn. Pistons 73, the Bucks 68.
So when we talk about 2-for-1, that second shot coming back, you want to leave yourself enough time to get a decent shot off. So you have about right now an 8-second differential between the 24-second clock and the game clock for Detroit.
Shot clock to 5. Wild attempt by Knight and a foul. As Mason raising his hand, and he's upset with himself with 8 seconds to go in this third quarter. It is on Mason, his second.
You're upset with yourself because when you're in the bonus situation as a team defensively, you wind up running into a player that way. Basically, you're just giving him 2 free throw opportunities. There's no defense here. Most guys in the league shoot between 75 and 80%. Obviously, Ben Wallace is not one of those people that shoots very well from the free throw line, but still not a good foul in that situation.
That is 1 for 2 today, only a 49% free throw shooter.
Plenty of time left now for Milwaukee to come back down and get this last shot. You have just under 9 seconds remaining here.
Once again, Wallace hits 1 of 2. Pistons up by 6. Detroit applying pressure. Now they drop back as Knight throws it across. Final seconds of the quarter. Here's Knight with the runner. Bucks looking for a foul. Michael Red thought he was hacked. Jack Neese says no. That's the end of the third quarter. Pistons up by 6 as they outscored the Bucks 32-19 here in the third. I look at the Art Museum in downtown Milwaukee. Nazar spending a good portion of the day there yesterday as we welcome you back to the Bradley Center. Capacity crowd better than 18,000 on hand, and seems everywhere we go there's a Steve Kerr sighting. It is uncanny. Apparently Milwaukee mascot Bango the Buck, who is has a very hearty appetite, is a big fan.
You know, I always wonder what Steve did when he was not around us, who he hung out with.
Steve and Bango very close over the years. Fourth quarter is underway. Pistons with a 74-68 lead as Detroit came from behind and took over in the third.
You see the 2 runs there. Detroit going on the early run, 27-8, and then in the last 4 minutes, the Bucks are coming back with that 11-5 run.
Bucks shot only 5 of 18, though, in the third. Here's Van Horn. Draws the foul. He was blocked. Foul on Hunter. Pistons shot 12 for 20 in the third quarter. Van Horn to the line, an excellent free throw shooter, 86%.
By getting a roll, that was on its way out, rolling outside the rim, and it went back in again.
Tayshaun Prince checking back in for Darvin Ham. Game 4 of this series here in Milwaukee Monday night, 7 o'clock start Eastern time. We'll have it for you on TNT. Pistons lead by 5. They stay with James and Hunter, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince up front. Chauncey Billups getting set to check back in. We have not seen much of Richard Hamilton in the second half. The steal by Mason. Desmond Mason tomahawks it down.
Desmond Mason is laying low on the other side, anticipating where that pass is going to come out of the low post, too. He shot the gap, easy 2 for Milwaukee, and the crowd back on their feet.
Here is James, and Wallace able to reach for it. Prince being played by Mason. Rasheed Wallace now guarded by Kukoc. Good job by Mason, able to tip it tonight. Mason finding Van Horn. It was open. Van Horn. Whoa.
See, obviously, Van Horn really affected by Ben Wallace's presence in the basket. Went up both times, too weak. Not really good, strong attempts at the basket.
And the other end, Van Horn defending on Ben Wallace. Wallace lost it, but a foul. It's on Van Horn. Now Billups is back. That's 4 on Van Horn. Van Horn will sit down. Joe Smith checks back in.
Mark, one thing to think about as this game remains, if it remains close, I should say, as we get into the fourth quarter ending, you might consider intentional fouls on Ben Wallace and put him at the line.
And Wallace with the rebound, and he will go to the line right here as he's hammered. Foul on Red, that is his third. Ben Wallace only a 49% free throw shooter, which is down from last season. He was up to 56 He has shot as low as 41%, which is the lowest percentage of all time. And as I say that, he hits, and for Ben, it's a fine performance, 3 of 5.
No, he has not a bad looking shot when it comes out of his hand. He's got a nice rotation on the ball. It's a nice release. His hands are in their proper place. Just a little bit that time too hard.
Tayshaun Prince is right there. So it's a 3-point play for the Pistons. They lead at 77-71. It's been a huge game for Tayshaun Prince. Now Richard Hamilton has been a forgotten man. Getting set to check back in. Mason able to raise up and drill it. 77-73, Detroit. Quick release by Phillips. Kept alive. And now Joe Smith gets to it. Kukoc. The lead for Red. Yes. It's a 2-point game, so the Bucks have come on. Here in the fourth quarter, they're within 2.
No better example of teammates understanding each other. Kukoc knew Red would keep looking for it on a late pass. He laid it out, up over the top. Red ran under it and then converted it.
3 minutes gone by. In the fourth, here's the double on Rasheed Wallace. Rebounded by Mason. Knight in the open floor. Knight finding Red. Rebounded by Ben Wallace. Phillips looking over at Larry Brown at the Detroit bench. Phillips, Hunter in the backcourt. Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace up front. Shot clock to 5. Good play by Knight, able to deflect it away. With 2 on the shot clock. And a timeout called. 8:24 remaining. In the fourth quarter, the Pistons lead is down to 2.
.8:24 remaining in the fourth. The Pistons up 2. Let's watch how you take advantage of transition opportunities. On the pitch ahead pass, when Knight takes the ball and fires it ahead to Kukoc. Watch the defense react to the man behind the three-point line, worried about the cross-court pass. But what happens is, because of the communication between Kukoc and his teammate, he knows that Red's diving. Red knows to keep an eye for a late pass to the basket over the top. That's from every day in practice, working with each other. The late pass, the conversion by Michael Red.
8:24 to go in the fourth quarter. It will be Detroit ball as we resume. They have 2 on the shot clock. That Piston lead is down to 2. The Bucks have led by as many as 12. That was back in the first half. Pistons have led by as many as 12. That was in the third quarter. Prince will throw in. Hamilton is back. Here's Phillips. He had a tough shot with Kukoc all over him. Nice play by Mason. Then he tried to save it. That will count. And the foul. A lot of activity going on in that sequence.
And nobody initially, and I think Mason was the closest player that could have gotten a body onto Ben Wallace, but nobody gets a body as Phillips hoists it up there. That winds up going right into the hands of Ben Wallace. Knight saves the initial layup, but Wallace stays with it, finishes the basket, and now tries to make the free throw.
Foul on Smith, his second. As Rasheed Wallace got to it on a box out, he's called for the foul. That's 4 on Rasheed. Second team foul on Detroit. Milwaukee has 3. Revin Knight now working at the point. Knight and Red at the guards. Mason, Smith, and Kukoc up front. Mason spinning his way, and the rebound is swept by Ben Wallace. That's 17 rebounds for Ben. Hamilton. Now Phillips resets, finding Rasheed Wallace slightly off. Kukoc Able to push it down. Hamilton digging in on Red. Phillips over to help. Leaves Knight open. And another rebound for Ben Wallace. What a terrific game this has been. Pistons now lead 79-75. We come up on 7 minutes to play in the fourth.
If Detroit decided they're not letting Michael Red, as Hamilton takes it to the basket and is fouled by Red, Pistons decided they're not letting Michael Red get going here down the stretch, so they're willing to leave Brevin Knight, run and double team him, and dare Knight to make a jump shot.
Red on the foul. That is his fourth. Tonight on ESPN, it's the Kings and the Mavericks, followed by the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Coverage beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. It's the Pacers and the Celtics. And then Sunday on ABC, Lakers take on the Rockets. Coverage beginning 3:30 Eastern Time. Hawks with 14 fouls. Next foul, they're in the penalty with much time remaining in this fourth quarter. Pistons have only 2 team fouls. Detroit with a 6-point lead. Red. That's an incredible shot. Richard Hamilton was all over. He's able to step back and release.
Well, that's the difference between you and Michael Red. You could never step back.
No, I don't think so. That's an excellent comparison also. Rasheed Wallace. Wallace looking for the foul. 83-77 Pistons.
A little contrast in styles taking place now. Detroit getting their last couple of baskets on inside stuff. Milwaukee relies on that jumper.
Here's Red. This time the shot was deflected short by Hamilton.
Hamilton said, I'm going to start jumping to block it before you even start to go up with it.
There's the lob intercepted. Mason able to break it up. Mason. Rebounded by Smith, and he's fouled by Rasheed Wallace.
Good work that time by Joe Smith, getting on the offensive boards in the game thus far. Detroit dominating the glass 44-30.
That was number 5 on Rasheed Wallace. Timeout called. 6-point Piston lead. Back in Milwaukee, the 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT is brought to you by Chili's. Want more flavor in your life? Come to Chili's. By the new Sprite Remix Berry Clear. By Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale on May 7th. Adventure lives forever. And by IBM, taking business to the next level with e-business on demand. Well, the 2004 NBA playoffs here on TNT will continue tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, as the Nets go up against the Knicks. Nets trying to make it a 4-game sweep. Knicks hope to extend the series. They'll meet at the Garden, and then the Spurs and the Grizzlies in Memphis. All gets underway with NBA tip-off at 6:30. Rasheed Wallace just picked up a 5th foul, putting Joe Smith at the line. Here's TJ Ford, who has been out since late February with a bruised spinal cord. And now the word is he will undergo surgery sometime in early May. He's having an outstanding rookie season. 8th overall pick in the draft. Milwaukee got off to a surprising start. They were playing extremely well, and TJ went down. And after that good start, Bucks did lose 14 of the last 22. Ended up as the number 6 seed. They had 3 chances to clinch the 4th seed and home court advantage in the first round, but lost their last 3 games. Here's pressure being shown by Milwaukee. Pistons up by 4. They're down to 10 on the shot clock. Just under 6 to go in the fourth quarter. Hamilton from the hop. Richard Hamilton sat out a good portion of this second half. He's now 5 of 8, 13 points.
Well, let's point out 3 guys that in game number 2 for Milwaukee, and we see Damon Jones tee up the three-pointer and hit another three-point shot. That's his 4th one of the game. I was talking about Van Horn, Brevin Knight, and Kukoc. Last game, they were 11 for 23, 28 points. Thus far, 3 for 16, just 13 points from the same 3 guys.
Hamilton showing confidence in his shot, but it came up short. Bucks in possession, down by 3. Knight and Red in the backcourt. Kukoc up front with Smith and Jones. Here's Kukoc. He draws the foul. So Tony Kukoc will go to the line. A foul on Williamson, that's number 5. So Detroit with 5 apiece on Williamson and Rasheed Wallace. Kukoc, a 73% free throw shooter. There's the foul rundown. As for the Bucks, 4 on Red, 4 on Skinner and Van Horn.
Personal fouls for the team, very close. 23 personals for Detroit, 22 personals for Milwaukee.
Tony Kukoc missing on both free throws. 4.5 to play in the fourth quarter. Hamilton putting the move on Jones. Here comes Knight for Smith. It's a 1-point game.
Joe Smith running hard from the beginning of the play. Brevin Knight knew exactly what he had. Smith down the middle or Red with a cross-court pass. He elected for the high percentage shot for Joe Smith.
Hamilton. And a foul is called. Foul on Jones, his 4th.
Knight brings it down the right side. There's Smith coming right down. Center lane sprint, they call it. You got Red behind the three-point line on the other side of the floor. Nice pass by Knight.
Richard Hamilton to the line is 3 of 4. An 87% free throw shooter. Playing with the face guard, protecting the broken nose. Did not have a happy time the other night in game 2. He did score 18 points. He fouled out with about 5 minutes to play. Hit with 2 technicals. He and Michael Red got into a verbal confrontation. Pistons back to the 3-point lead. So Terry Porter going back to Brevin Knight at the point here down the stretch. He has a 3-guard set. Smith with the step, and it's deflected out. Last touch by Detroit.
And what Terry Porter's doing is he's banking on the fact that the size of Jones and Knight will not become a major factor here against Billups and Hamilton, because Jones is stroking it well for the three-point line. He's got 4 already. Knight runs the show better. He's trying to play with them both right now.
Shot clock down to 5. Kukoc for 3, way off, and handled by Ben Wallace. 20 rebounds for Wallace. 3.5 remaining in this fourth quarter. Foul is called on Red as he and Hamilton got involved. That's 5 on Michael Red.
Hamilton is a player who's willing to work hard to get the ball, coming off numerous screens there. A little too much holding on Michael Red.
Hamilton 5 for 6 at the line. Desmond Mason will come on for Michael Red, who picked up number 5. Red sits down with 19 points. Rasheed Wallace takes a seat. Darvin Ham has checked in. We may see some offensive, defensive shuffling here in the final minutes. 89-84 Pistons. Hamilton has scored the last 6 points for Detroit. Knight rejected by Prince. That's his second block. And here's Prince. Foul. Joe Smith felt it was a clean block. Smith picks up the foul.
What Joe DeRose is going to say is that it's not up on top, but he's going to say the contact came from down low. Let's see if the body's there. And to me, it looked like Prince took the ball into the defensive player, that Joe Smith made a pretty good play. I probably would not have called that a foul. Neither would Joe Smith.
Tayshaun Prince, a 77% foul shooter, has 15 points, 7 rebounds. Pistons now 19 of 26 at the line. The free throw shooting has been balanced. Milwaukee at 18 of 24. But the Pistons extending to a 7-point lead, and they're doing it with foul shots.
That's what Larry Brown told us, that he had to rebound the ball better. They have a 47-32 advantage on the glass. They had to get to the foul line. They were -10 last game at the free throw line versus Milwaukee.
Foul is called on Ham. Well, both teams are in the penalty. And a timeout is taken with 2:53 remaining in the fourth. Following Detroit and Milwaukee coming up on Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, John Thompson. They'll have post-game reaction and highlights from today's playoff games. A look ahead to tomorrow's contest between the Lakers and the Rockets. Earlier today, the Hornets defeated the Heat 77-71. Miami now leads that series 2-1. Timeouts remaining. Pistons 2 and a 20. Miami 1 and a 20. Both teams are over the limit. Desmond Mason spending much time at the line. He is now 8 of 11 at the line.
When you think about Milwaukee hurting yourself here in the fourth quarter, missing a number of free throw attempts.
#81, 85. Detroit Bucks just 4 of 8 at the line in this fourth quarter. Mason with a career playoff high, 19 points. Hamilton. And here is Rasheed Wallace. Loose ball foul. And it's on Kukoc. He thought it was on Ben Wallace.
Big call right there. We'll see if Kukoc winds up throwing Wallace out of bounds. He finds him, puts a body on him. He's reaching, feeling. Now as it goes up. Right there, I'd have to agree with Tony Kukoc. It's tough to say there that Tony Kukoc actually threw Ben Wallace off him.
You are agreeing on every call with the players. You are every call. Oh, look out. Whoa.
Why did you say look out?
I thought someone was going to get hurt.
In the first row?
Ben Wallace now 3 of 8 from the line. That may have been the shortest air ball I've ever seen. Now put too much on it. Swept by Mason. What I'm saying is you're disagreeing with every close call made by the officials.
Well, next game I'll disagree with every official's call. How's that? Make you feel better?
Pistons lead 91, 85. Red working hard for that shot, had no angle. And back comes Billups.
That's a tough shot right there. Defense did a great job at forcing him into a bad shot. That's just what it wound up being, was a bad shot.
Coming up on 2 minutes to play in the fourth. Shot clock down to 5. Rasheed Wallace. Wallace, an important sequence for the Bucks, who trail by 6 and time running out. Kukoc puts the move on Wallace and then try to slip it to Smith. Broken up, recovered by Mason. And the call is last touched by the Bucks. I think Desmond Mason felt that he had less time remaining on the shot clock. He did not have to take that shot.
And also he thought he had the defender up in the air that he could step under him, perhaps get landed on, and go to the line for a couple free throw attempts.
How about the Bucks? Just 1 point over the last 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
Down crunch time becomes very difficult to execute in the playoffs. Baskets are harder to get. Point productivity so hard for teams during playoff time.
Hamilton called for the traveling violation. So a series of fakes and then called for steps. So the Bucks get it back down by 6, 1:15 to play. Kukoc open for 3. Milwaukee cannot hit a shot in these final minutes. They've had their opportunities.
You're reluctant to take it to the basket because you have shot blockers back there. You talk about Wallace, Prince, all long block shots. So you wind up resorting to jump shots and they don't go down.
Down to 5 on the 24. Here comes Red, 3 on 2. Jones trying to return it, a bad pass. Kept alive though by Jones. Red went to the left hand. Had to change the shot. 3 potential shot blockers around him.
There's the foul right there, intentional foul taken by Mason. You see how quick, after Ben Wallace rebounded the ball, Marv, he outletted it because he didn't want to get fouled in the backcourt with the basketball. Take a look at the drive opportunity. And then once the shot goes up and Wallace comes in and grabs the rebound, he gets it and gets it out of his hands right away. Don't foul me, get it to somebody else.
Well, Billups is 5 for 5 at the line. And the Pistons have done it at the foul line in the final minutes, while the Bucks have not. 31 seconds remaining. Detroit up by 8. Terry Porter takes a timeout. An 8-1 run by the Pistons. So the Pistons on the verge of taking a 2-1 lead in this best of 7. 31 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Pistons 93 and the Bucks 85. A look at the upcoming schedule, game 4 at Milwaukee. That'll be Monday night and will be seen here on TNT. Game 5 at Detroit. And if necessary, you see game 6 in Milwaukee May 1st, back to Detroit May 3rd for game 7. The Bucks with only 1 point over the last 3 minutes, 45 seconds. They have missed their last 6 shots.
Detroit's defense obviously having a major effect on the looks, challenging block shots. Then when they do get to the foul line, Milwaukee not able to convert the free throw opportunities that they had.
Kukoc off the ball fake, could not find the shot. Jones does, not able to hit the 3. Rebounded by Rasheed Wallace. And Billups throws it across. They will foul him, so that'll put Chauncey Billups back to the line.
Rushed shot opportunity. Granted, they were down 8 points at that time, but if it's not a good look at the 3-point shot, perhaps you're better taking the ball to the basket, see if you can draw the foul as you lay the ball in, or create another shot for a teammate that way. But to launch a bad 3-point shot when the defender's right up in your face, I'm not sure how smart that is.
Billups, the high man for the Pistons, 20 points. He's now 8 of 8 at the line. Richard Hamilton came on in the fourth quarter. He has 17. Tayshaun Prince with 16. Ben Wallace, 13 points, 21 rebounds. Rasheed Wallace, 10 points, 11 rebounds. Bucks take a timeout. It's a 20-second timeout. Milwaukee led by Michael Redd with 19. Mason with 19. Smith with 16 points. Pistons shooting 46% from the field, but their last 10 points have been at the free throw line.
Milwaukee forced to foul. They can't get good looks at the basket, Milwaukee, as a result. Pistons coming down with the defensive rebounds. And talked about that rebound advantage once again. Detroit 51-36 rebound advantage. Exactly what Larry Brown wanted to see. And the free throw attempts, 33-26 in favor of Detroit also. The two areas that Larry Brown said we've got to do better at. And the third area, Marv, was number of three-point attempts. Detroit has taken just 12 three-point attempts in today's game.
So 20 seconds remaining. The Bucks just used their final timeout. Thanks to our producer, Scooter Patino, director Renato Lowe, our statistician, Brian Taylor. Joe Smith trying to go backdoor. Red. Final seconds. The Detroit Pistons come away with a 95-85 victory. So they now reclaim home court advantage after the loss this past Wednesday night at the Palace of Auburn Hills. And it is now a 2-1 lead for Larry Brown and his Pistons. Game number 4 coming up Monday night here at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. 7 o'clock Eastern time right here on TNT. Let's go to Charles Davis, Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace, big numbers today, 21 rebounds. What flipped the switch in the second half? You sat out much of the first half with foul trouble. What did it for you guys in the second half?
Well, I was well rested coming into the second half, so I had to go out there, get myself involved in the game. My teammates had confidence in me. They throw me the ball, got a couple touches, and it just got it going. We just played great defense the second half.
Well, you used that rest to your advantage to get the big numbers, but did you use up too much? Tell us about the free throw down the stretch, the air ball. Ben, what was that?
Oh, that's just one of those things. It's part of the game. I've been struggling with my free throws, all season, but it's just one of those things I got to continue to work on. But unfortunately, it didn't affect us down the stretch. We was able to make some plays, and hopefully everybody forget about that and focus on the win.
All right, Ben, congratulations. Good luck as you guys move on. Marv, may have been the best air ball you've ever seen, huh?
I don't think it's not the best, maybe the worst, the shortest. But Ben Wallace with big numbers, 13 points and 21 rebounds. Final score, Pistons 95, Bucks 85. The NBA playoffs continue tomorrow on TNT. Nets and the Knicks, followed by the Spurs and the Grizzlies. For the Czar, Mike Fratello, Charles Davis. This is Marv Albert saying good night from Milwaukee. Been watching the 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT. Now let's go to